Yesterday you said tomorrow. Yesterday you said tomorrow. And before that, you said next week. Before that, you said next month. Before that, you said when things calm down, when you have more time, when you have more money, when you feel more confident, when you're finally ready. But the truth is, you've been waiting for a version of life that doesn't exist. A life with no fear, no uncertainty, no risk, no discomfort. And that life is never coming. Because growth begins where comfort ends. Success begins where excuses end. Transformation begins the moment you stop waiting. Think about how many dreams die in the waiting. Not because people aren't talented, not because people aren't capable, because they keep postponing the life they want. One day becomes someday, someday becomes never, and years pass. The tragedy isn't failure. The tragedy is never trying, never knowing what could have happened, never discovering who you could have become. Because every great life begins with a decision to start before you're ready, a decision to move before you feel confident, a decision to act while fear is still present. Most people think successful people are fearless. They're not. They simply stopped letting fear make their decisions. They understood something powerful. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's action in spite of fear. And that's what you've been avoiding. Not the goal, the discomfort required to reach it, the workout, the discipline, the sacrifice, the responsibility, the commitment, the daily effort. Because every dream has a price, and the price is almost always paid in advance, before the results, before the rewards, before the recognition. That's why so few people achieve what they want. They want the reward, without paying the price. They want confidence, without taking risks. They want success, without enduring failure. They want change, without changing. But life doesn't work that way. You become what you repeatedly do, not what you occasionally do, not what you plan to do, not what you intend to do, what you actually do, every single day. And right now, your habits are writing your future. Your decisions are shaping your destiny. Your actions are creating the person you'll become. The question is, are those actions moving you forward or keeping you exactly where you are? Because yesterday you said tomorrow. Today is tomorrow. And tomorrow is becoming today faster than you think. Most people think waiting is harmless. It isn't, because every day you delay, something is being lost. Not just time, opportunity, growth, momentum, potential. The scary thing about waiting is that it feels safe. It feels responsible. It feels reasonable. You tell yourself, I'll start when I'm ready. I'll start when things get better. I'll start when I have more confidence. But readiness is a myth. Confidence doesn't come before action. Confidence comes from action. Nobody feels ready to take the first step. Nobody feels fully prepared to change their life. Nobody wakes up one day completely fearless. They simply decide that staying the same is more painful than moving forward. And that's the decision that changes everything. Because every year, millions of people promise themselves they'll start the business, start the fitness journey, start the book, start the goal, start the life they've been dreaming about. But most never do. Not because they can't, because they wait. And while they're waiting, life keeps moving. The clock keeps ticking. The days keep passing. The opportunities keep disappearing. That's the part nobody talks about. Waiting has a cost, a very expensive cost. Every day you delay becoming who you're capable of being, you pay a price. You pay with lost progress. You pay with lost confidence. You pay with lost time. And time is the one thing you never get back. Money can return. Opportunities can return. Energy can return. But time? Never. Once it's gone forever. That's why successful people value time differently. They understand something most people ignore. You don't build a great life in 1 year. You build it one day at a time, one decision at a time, one action at a time. That's why today's choices matter so much. Because today's choices become tomorrow's reality. The habits you repeat today become the life you live tomorrow. The standards you accept today become the results you experience tomorrow. And whether you realize it or not, you're creating your future right now. Not next month, not next year, right now, with every excuse, with every action, with every decision, That's why the phrase, "I'll do it tomorrow," is so dangerous. Because tomorrow has become the graveyard of countless dreams. Dreams that were postponed, dreams that were delayed, dreams that were never pursued. Not because people lacked ability, because they lacked urgency. They thought they had more time. But time moves faster than anyone realizes. One day you wake up, and the years are gone. The opportunities are gone. The chances are gone. And all that's left is a question. What would have happened if I started sooner? Don't let that become your story. Because the future you're hoping for is waiting on a decision. Not next week. Not next month. Today. Right now. Because yesterday you said tomorrow. And today is giving you another chance. Imagine meeting yourself 5 years from today. The person you could become. The stronger version. The wiser version. The disciplined version. The successful version. The version that finally stopped making excuses. What would that person say to you? Would they thank you? Or would they ask why you waited so long? Because whether you realize it or not, that future version of you is being created right now. Not someday. Today. With every decision you make. Every habit you repeat. Every excuse you accept. Every standard you tolerate. Most people think the future arrives suddenly. It doesn't. The future arrives one day at a time. Quietly. Slowly. Without warning. And that's why so many people are shocked by the results. They look at their life and wonder, how did I get here? The answer is simple. One day at a time. One decision at a time. One habit at a time. Because success is rarely one giant choice. It's thousands of small choices. Choosing discipline when you don't feel like it. Choosing action when you're afraid. Choosing growth when comfort is easier. That's how great lives are built. Not through luck. Not through talent. Through consistency. The problem is that consistency feels boring. It doesn't feel exciting. It doesn't feel dramatic. It doesn't feel life-changing. But that's because people underestimate the power of small actions. A single workout doesn't change your body. A single page doesn't write a book. A single day doesn't build a successful life. But repeated enough times, small actions become extraordinary results. That's how transformation happens. Not overnight. Over time. And that's exactly why procrastination is so dangerous. Because every day you delay the life you're capable of living. You delay the confidence you could be building. You delay the opportunities you could be creating. You delay becoming the person you're meant to be. And eventually, delay becomes regret. Not because you failed, because you never started. Because deep down, most people aren't afraid of failure. They're afraid of effort, afraid of discomfort, afraid of discovering what they're truly capable of. Because once you know what you're capable of, excuses become harder to justify. That's why today matters. That's why this moment matters. Because the life you want isn't waiting somewhere in the future. It's being built right now. In the choices nobody sees. In the work nobody applauds. In the discipline nobody celebrates. That's where your future is born. So stop asking yourself when you'll start. Stop asking yourself if you're ready. Stop asking yourself whether the timing is perfect. The timing was never going to be perfect. The conditions were never going to be perfect. The moment was never going to be perfect. But your decision can be. Because one decision can change everything. One decision to begin. One decision to stop waiting. One decision to stop postponing your life. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. Tomorrow is here. And your future is watching to see what you do next. There comes a moment in every person's life when they realize something uncomfortable. Nobody is coming. Nobody is coming to wake you up early. Nobody is coming to force you to be disciplined. Nobody is coming to make you work harder. Nobody is coming to build your dream for you. Nobody is coming to rescue your future. That's your job. And at first, that truth feels heavy because it removes every excuse. It removes every place to hide. It removes every person to blame. Suddenly, the responsibility is yours. The results are yours. The future is yours. And that's exactly why most people avoid this realization. Because blame is easier than responsibility. It's easier to blame circumstances. Easier to blame bad luck. Easier to blame your past. Easier to blame other people. But blame changes nothing. Responsibility changes everything. The moment you accept responsibility, you take your power back. Because if someone else is responsible for your life, then you're powerless. But if you're responsible, you can change it. Think about that. The very thing most people run from is the thing that sets them free. Responsibility. Because once you stop waiting for someone else, you stop depending on someone else. You stop hoping someone will save you. You stop expecting motivation to magically appear. And you start becoming the person who takes action regardless. That's where transformation begins. Not when life gets easier, when you get stronger, not when circumstances improve, when your standards improve, not when opportunities arrive, when you become ready to create them. Most people spend years waiting for the right opportunity. Winners create opportunities. Most people wait for motivation. Winners create momentum. Most people wait for confidence. Winners build confidence through action. That's the difference. The difference between dreamers and achievers. One waits, the other moves, even when they're afraid, even when they're uncertain, even when they don't feel ready, because they understand something powerful. Action comes first. Confidence comes second, not the other way around. That's why your life changes the moment you stop waiting. The moment you stop negotiating with yourself. The moment you stop saying tomorrow. The moment you stop looking for a rescue and start becoming your own rescue. Because nobody is coming. And that's not bad news. That's freedom. Freedom to take control. Freedom to change direction. Freedom to become the person you've been capable of becoming all along. The life you want is not waiting for permission. It's waiting for action. It's waiting for courage. It's waiting for a decision. And that decision can only be made by one person. You. Because yesterday you said tomorrow. Tomorrow became today. And today is asking you one question. How much longer are you going to wait? Life gives everyone a choice. Not once. Every single day. The choice between two kinds of pain. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. And here's the truth. You're going to experience one of them no matter what. There is no third option. The pain of discipline is waking up when you don't feel like it. The pain of discipline is doing the work when motivation disappears. The pain of discipline is staying committed when quitting would be easier. It's uncomfortable. It's difficult. It's demanding. But it doesn't last forever. Regret is different. Regret stays. Regret follows people for years, sometimes decades. Regret shows up in quiet moments, late at night, when nobody else is around, when you're alone with your thoughts, and it asks painful questions. What if I had started? What if I had believed in myself? What if I had stopped making excuses? What if I had taken a chance? Those questions become heavier over time because regret grows. The longer you carry it. That's why so many people are unhappy. Not because they failed, because they abandoned themselves. They abandoned their goals, their standards, their potential, their future, one excuse at a time, one delay at a time, one tomorrow at a time, until eventually the dream disappears. Not because it was impossible, because it was postponed. Too many people spend their lives protecting themselves from temporary discomfort, only to end up living with permanent regret. Think about that. They avoid the discomfort of discipline, then suffer the discomfort of regret. They avoid the pain of effort, then suffer the pain of unrealized potential. They avoid the fear of failure, then suffer the reality of never trying. And that's a trade you never want to make. Because failure teaches lessons. Failure creates growth. Failure can make you stronger. But regret? Regret teaches nothing. It only reminds you of what could have been. That's why discipline is a gift, not a punishment. A gift, because discipline gives you options. Discipline creates opportunities. Discipline builds confidence. Discipline creates freedom. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you become stronger. Every time you do what needs to be done, you become more trustworthy. Every time you choose action over excuses, you become a different person. That's how confidence is built. Not by thinking, by doing, not by wishing, by acting, not by waiting, by moving. The version of you that you admire. The version that's successful, focused, disciplined, respected, doesn't exist somewhere in the future. That version is created through the choices you make today. One disciplined decision at a time. One difficult choice at a time. One uncomfortable action at a time. So ask yourself honestly, what pain are you choosing? The temporary pain of discipline or the lasting pain of regret? because one of them will shape your future. And the decision is being made right now. Not tomorrow, today. Because yesterday, you said tomorrow, and tomorrow has finally arrived. At some point, you have to stop thinking about the life you want and start living it. You have to stop watching, stop wishing, stop waiting, and start moving. Because the truth is, the life you've been dreaming about isn't going to build itself. The body you want isn't going to train itself. The future you want isn't going to create itself. The opportunities you want aren't going to chase you down. You must decide, and that decision doesn't happen tomorrow. It happens today, right here, right now, this moment. Because this moment is all you really have. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow isn't promised. Today is reality. Today is opportunity. Today is your chance. And maybe that's what you've been waiting for. Not another motivational video. Not another perfect plan. Not another sign from the universe. A decision. A decision to stop postponing your life. A decision to stop negotiating with your goals. A decision to stop letting fear make your choices. Because every great transformation begins with a moment. A moment where someone gets tired of their excuses. A moment where someone decides enough is enough. A moment where someone finally commits. Not for a week, not for a month, for real. That's the moment that changes everything. Maybe nobody else will notice it. Maybe nobody will applaud. Maybe nobody will believe you. That's okay. You don't need their permission. You don't need their approval. You don't need their belief. You need yours. Because at the end of the day, the person who determines your future is staring back at you in the mirror. Not your circumstances, not your critics, not your fears. You. And that's good news. Because it means your future is still in your hands. It means your story is still being written. It means it's not too late. Not too late to start. Not too late to improve. Not too late to become the person you're capable of becoming. But you must start now, not when motivation returns. Not when conditions improve. Not when everything feels perfect. Now, because 1 year from today, you'll either be grateful you started or wishing you had. 5 years from today, you'll either be living the results of today's discipline or the consequences of today's excuses. The choice has always been yours, and it still is. So stop waiting. Stop delaying. Stop saying tomorrow. Because yesterday you said tomorrow. Today is tomorrow. And tomorrow is waiting to see whether you'll finally begin. The clock is ticking. Life is moving. Your future is watching. Now, make your move. 1 year from now, you'll remember this moment. Not because it was dramatic. Not because everything changed overnight. But because this was the moment you made a choice. The choice to stop waiting. The choice to stop making excuses. The choice to stop postponing your life. Most people think success happens in a breakthrough. It doesn't. Success happens in the ordinary days. The days when nobody is watching. The days when motivation is gone. The days when you'd rather quit. Those are the days that matter most. Because those are the days that reveal who you really are. Anyone can move forward when they feel inspired. Anyone can work hard when they're excited. Very few people can stay committed when it's difficult. That's why very few people create extraordinary lives. Not because they're more talented, because they're more consistent. They keep showing up, again and again and again, long after the excitement fades, long after the applause disappears, long after everyone else gives up. That's the secret. Not intensity, consistency, not motivation, discipline, not wishing, doing. And 1 year from now, the results of those small decisions will be impossible to ignore. The workouts will matter. The habits will matter. The sacrifices will matter. The early mornings will matter. Everything you're doing today is building the person you'll become tomorrow. So don't underestimate today. Don't underestimate a single action. Don't underestimate a single step forward. Because great lives are built exactly that way. One step, one day, one decision at a time. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. Today you said now. And that decision will change the rest of your life. The life you want is waiting on the other side of the decision you're avoiding.